Here we go. Still working. I think it's still moving here, but it looks like we're good to go here on live. Yes, live. 1, 2. All right, we're here. Woo! Got some technical difficulties on the new Facebook, system here, but I think we're good now. So sorry about being delayed. Sean Thomas, of course, helped me out. And so here we go. We are live for my monthly. Jeff Bruno, your outsourced CFO. It's 1 o'clock on 7:23 Eastern Standard Time for all you mid and west coasters. Anyway, so I'm glad to be jumping in here today. So let's start. Let's start onto the questions and get going. Just some general updates first. So everybody sees what's going on here with the feds. We're staying way on top of that. Hopefully you guys got your EIDL. Looks like there's going to be decent leniency on how to apply those funds. Watch out for more grants. Got another Pennsylvania state grant. It came out about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And up to, up to 100,000 grant. So keep your eyes out for those kind of things. And also CARES Act stuff with the unemployment. The forces that be over there are trying to extend that somewhat. So hopefully they will extend some of that as an extra payment to employees and make it business friendly as well. Looks like they're going to move towards that. So here we are. And good afternoon, James. He's tagging in on comments. So we'll start with some of the questions. So first question. The submitter was Shelly Merrill. Shelly is from Integrated Fire. Her question, what are the things I can do to increase my skills of delegation and time management as a leader of my company? Her business description, I own a fire protection and safety company, currently having trouble with keeping up on all of the tasks that I need to get done. I would like to hear any of your time and task management secrets. So, Shelly, we know each other well. So Shelly is one of our clients. And Shelly is, Shelly, I have the answer for you. And this is not a promotion, this is real. Delegatesolutions.com. Delegatesolutions.com. I have been using them since November. They're a little bit more pricey of an outfit for sort of like a virtual assistant. But what I absolutely love about them, first of all, they're a team of 2 on your account. Secondly, they really delegate. Let me be clear. So they help you with tasks. They help you with some personal things if you want. They'll help you with their calendar. They'll do that kind of stuff. But with your team, they actually delegate. So when you're like, oh, I can't stand that this guy or this gal is not doing this consistently, they will bother them. They will make sure that that's the right thing for that person to do. And if not, they'll try to figure out other ways to delegate in other scenarios for you with your business. They have been amazing with that. I have an intern. They help me delegate tasks to the intern. They help with my internal staff. I have 7 other people. So they'll give certain things to different people, to my CFOs, to my analysts, and they're extremely helpful in doing that and taking a lot off of my plate. So I highly recommend that. I mean, sort of the other things that I've used in the past have not worked because you get so stuck and so busy, as we all do as CEOs or even as business owners. So I highly recommend that. Or a VA just for some personal stuff, a virtual assistant if it's too costly for Delegate. But they are a great resource. So here's our next question. Submitter is Erica Wilkinson. Question they asked, what are your views on having a small business that is going to fund what you really want to do? Business description. I own a cleaning company, but this isn't something I want to do forever. I want to get my real estate license and buy investment properties that my cleaning/property management company manages. I want to open real estate offices in large areas Las Vegas, Nashville, and Miami. Well, Erica, that sounds pretty amazing to me. I'll join you. No, I used to spend some time in Miami with my old CFO position. Excuse me. Miami is great. I'm not sure where you're located that you want to go to Las Vegas, Miami, and Nashville. That's all over the country. But awesome that you want to. So, look, this is the typical conundrum here that business owners face, and we run into it all the time because as CFOs, we're really embedded in the process, operational process, and in the CEO's head of the companies we work with. So focus is a big problem. So I like your concept, okay, but one of our companies right now, sorry to give you a little tangent, one of our companies had two companies that they were doing, and they were kind of similar in some, sort of in the marketing field, but one was lower profit and was distracting from the other. So it looks like after it's been about a year we've been engaged with them, they're going to get rid of that one company that is just not hacking it and stick with their main company. Because that separation of focus can be really a problem for businesses because there's just not enough talent, and sometimes the owner is spread too thin, and it's very hard focus-wise. Now, I do like your concept because having a cleaning company that's also a property management company is good, but be careful. I mean, I don't know how much you've been doing with property management, so I'd have to talk to you in person, but property management is tricky. You got to do leases. Sometimes you need leasing agents. If you own a bunch of properties, you have to deal with turns on apartments. You have to deal with a lot of fixes. It's not just cleaning and, mopping up the area. And I know you know that probably because you've been doing it. But those are a lot of pieces to manage. So doing that and managing a cleaning company, which is kind of a part of that, and then managing a real estate business with development is a lot. You'd probably need a lot of personnel for that. So that's an intense structure. It's a good idea, but you need a lot of structure to it. Also, I would ask you what your capital position is here. You want to do real estate development. You want to get your real estate license. And you don't need a real estate license to do real estate development. You save on the costs of buying the properties, but you don't need a license. So that's if you want to sell real estate from a commission standpoint. But you can buy investment properties on your own with different LLCs. You can set up an LLC to hold $1 million of liability. Maybe that's 2, 3, 4 properties. And you could set up another LLC to hold $1 million. You'd set up different LLCs, which is more accounting you have to deal with. You have to do tax returns for every LLC. So there's a lot of steps here in this process to be safe with your investments. Your liabilities are covered. A roof falls in, something happens, that one LLC absorbs that liability. You need insurance on that LLC. I'm sure you know all of this running a business, but it's different levels of insurance for a cleaning company versus owning real estate. There's builder's risk in real estate. There's as you're investing in the properties and renovating them or building them even. So there's a lot there. There's rental insurance if you're renting them. You might have to hold. So a lot of considerations. Then the thing is, how much capital do you have? So if you're going to be buying properties, banks are going to want you to put at least 25% down in most cases since it's a commercial venture. So what's your capital outlay? Do you have $100,000 sitting there? So you can buy a $400,000 property? That's what banks are going to want. And they want a track record too. So it's not just any bank necessarily that's going to give you the money because it's a risk. So, of course. But, there's a lot there. I love your idea. Seems exciting. I would also test run the market you're more comfortable with first. that's most of it. I would also, I mean, I guess one other question is what's your differentiator and your reason why. So, what differentiates you from doing this? If it's just a cleaning company that does management, I mean, that's great. But there are, I mean, we work with a couple of real estate companies here that have tried and failed. Real estate companies that buy and sell properties tried and failed to do management with it because it distracted them. So it's a hard thing to do all of that together. So I'm not discouraging you. I'm just saying you really got to get a track record, get a few going in one area, show how your model does it faster, less expensive, more efficiently, and then stamp it out in different locations as you grow. Very cool, very cool. Wish you best of luck. So, next question is from Yolindi de Gouveia. The question they asked, would you suggest a gradual increase in prices or a one-time price increase across the board and let things settle? Business description, custom high-quality throw pillows and inserts. I've always had a hard time pricing my products and services correctly. I've researched online formulas for pricing and looked at other retailers. However, I know my prices need to be higher. My customers get an excellent product and customer service, so I know my product can stand by a higher ticket price. I feel that a higher price will reflect a quality product better, and in turn produce a better customer and return business. Okay. All of that is correct. I agree with your premise. People struggle with raising prices all the time. I mean, I'm an example of that. When I started the business 7 years ago, I was, I don't know, 30% lower than I am now, maybe even 40% in some cases. And I struggled raising those prices until I felt the value is there. So I'm sure your product is superior and you could probably raise the prices right away. But your question was, should I raise them right away or a gradual increase? That's hard because there are so many factors in that decision. So, what's your brand positioning? Do you have a solid brand that if you just said, all right, guys, we're going up 20%, and you had a 10% fall off of people, they'd understand that you were sort of already underpricing, and they go, no, I love them so much, I'm going to stick around. I just don't know how strong your brand is because that's what pushes through. That's why Chanel is like platinum or gold or better. Chanel appreciates 80% in 8 years because Chanel consistently has a renowned product and it appreciates. And so women hand their pocketbooks down to their granddaughters and the value's 100 times greater. So it depends on what your value proposition is there and in the marketplace. And then the question is, what's your cash flow? Because that's going to determine whether you could gradually or abruptly change prices. How much of a hit can you take? Like, do you have inventory already that you bought and you've paid for that you could sell if you had to? And maybe old prices to give you some cash flow. And say all new things, new orders are going to be at the new price. Where do you get your materials from? So I would, are you going to have issues with material disruption? Do you get it from Vietnam, Portugal? I know some places, Portugal sells great material. We had a client who did custom stuff. They bought a lot of stuff from Portugal. Where do you get your stuff from? Depends on how you price. Is it you? Is there a labor component to your business? Like, do you have 2, 3, 10 people? If one person left, you'd be in trouble. Can that person sit on the bench? If your orders come down so that you don't have to pay them if you have less monies coming through the door. I mean, all of these are considerations on your pricing strategy. And of course, the cost of the actual good, the overall costs, labor, material, space. Do you need space? Do you have space currently? So, like, is there a fixed cost component to you? You have $5,000 in rent plus this you have to pay no matter what. So all of that comes into play on your scenario. And so it's hard to say without getting the full picture. But, test run it. I mean, if you hike up prices on a couple things and you still have the same buying level and it seems to work, then do them all. And you could maybe absorb it. So if that's the best way that you could do it, test run it. So give it a shot. Hope that was helpful. So next question is from Mikban Jen Kenji. Question they asked: who is the best person or place to go for education on what expenses I should put under the company debit card? Business description is a construction business. So, now without any other context here, McBon, I'm going to assume that you're saying from a tax standpoint, what can I put on that card? Not being a debit card itself versus a credit card, which would be my other thought process you have there. I would say if you're thinking whether it's tax deductible in your business, if you use it for business expenses, clear business expenses, materials that you're doing in construction, tools, expenses for labor, travel expenses. If all of that is clear, yeah, put on the card. I mean, if it helps your cash flow, throw it on the card. If that's the idea. I mean, that's the best I could say with it. That should be deductible. I think if you're questioning personal expenses on a card, I mean, personal food is usually non-deductible. Sometimes on a work scenario it can be. It's a question mark. I mean, that's really up to tax accountants how they want to do it with your scenario. If it's a group meal, it can be half deductible, and you can put it on the company card. So going out to dinner at night with your wife or your husband or probably not going to count on the company card. So, I mean, that's the real answer, but it's you should consult your tax attorney more or tax accountant more on some ideas around that. Next question. This is from Steve Roche. Question they asked: how can I teach myself to adjust from a freelance mindset to a more consistent business leader mindset? Business description: I have a media company and we offer a long list of services. Many are specific to high-end imagery for commercials or live events, and we are usually called in for jobs as they happen. Every day is different as each job is custom to the project at hand. Sometimes I'm plugged into a position. Other times I'm the lead on an entire 2-week project. Usually after the show or project is done, we are done and searching for the next one. I want to be more engaged with clients so we can help them realize their projects, not one at a time, but strategically over time. That is done by working together more often and becoming a trusted partner in success. If I can achieve that consistently, I shouldn't have to chase the next one so hard. So I absolutely agree. Steve, I mean, this is what business owners deal with all the time. I deal with it still consistently, even with 7 people under me. It's you got to ask, well, how many contractors? First off, how many contractors do you have on your team or employees? And then the hardest thing to do is to sell. Do the business. Sell, do the business. It's the hardest thing to do. I did that early on with myself. I got to 8 clients. 8 clients, and I said, whoa, I'm done. I can't keep doing this. So I brought on a hire. And I brought on 8. I brought an analyst to help me as I was the CFO. And the analyst helped me get to 24 clients because he handled so much of the projection work and the back office stuff I needed help with and the minutia, and I could focus on bringing in clients and the CFO work. We were working like crazy at 24 clients. You can imagine, just me and him. But that's what you need to do that. And really, what you should do is focus on you selling. In order to do that, what I realized, of course, as I built the business, was I needed some standardization. So one of the things I did was I paid a ghostwriter 10 grand over 4 months. This was actually last summer, and we built a training manual for our new hires. Took us 4 months. Took me about 50 hours of my time on the phone, and we built a training manual that we use now for new hires. So that's an example of something you could do, and then that takes so much off of your plate as far as you have standard practices, you have a repetitive process, you have, maybe you have an extra hand to help you on your team with some of that stuff, and then you could focus on selling and other CEO type things, and that is the best scenario, I think, for you. And it's hard, but so that's my advice. So let's see what else we got here. Next question. So the submitter is Marlena Carter. Question they asked: is it better to have employees or independent contractors, and what are ways for me to be sure I am choosing the right type of worker? Business description: I own a pet grooming salon currently with 2 independent contractor groomers that only pay a set daily rate, both rental. So Marlena, this is a question. It's probably the 3rd time in the last 5 months I've gotten this question on here. So obviously there's an anxiety about this in the workplace, which I understand. So it's really about it's all about the type of business you're trying to do. So it's important to say, this is tricky. It's very tricky, Marlena, because the independent contractors are okay, but what they can't do is they can't be where you want them all the time. So as an independent contractor, you really can't say to them, hey, I need you here at 5 o'clock, or I need you here at 8 to 10 every day. That's kind of the rules and regs around independent contractors versus W-2. You can't demand their time. They're kind of run their own show. So I think states have a little bit of different scenarios with how they work, but that's really one of the things. Also, I think you can do it is if you need always part-time, it might make sense to have a bevy of independent contractors, so that if one can't make it, you can just tag onto another. They can come in and you can run that way if you just consistently need part-time because you can't have a full-time need for an employee, or maybe they have different skill sets you want and you want to have a bench of people that you can bring in. That's one way to use independent contractors. And it depends if you're national. You might not need an employee in another state. Maybe if you're doing a certain specific job there, with one salon there or something. So a lot of considerations there on what to do. But I always say is, if you want consistency, you want complete buy-in, and you want to be able to tell them what to do, then hire them as an employee. Otherwise, you can go the independent contractor route. We can move on now to the next question. So this one is from Sarah Hamilton. Question they asked: what would you suggest as the best way to perform the necessary market research in the areas I'm interested in expanding into? Other than basic demographics such as average income, household size, etc., what do you think are most important when making this type of decision? Business description. I own a barbershop in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Currently, we have 2 locations, and my goal is to open more locations. Good. 2 is a great start. So, Sarah, this is more of a marketing decision, marketing question than a finance question per se. But I'll do what I can to answer this. So, I have no idea at Fayetteville, North Carolina, your area. But I would look at your data on your 2 locations. Who are the people coming in? Try to track that. Try to get an idea. If that matches up with the next demographic scenario you're looking at in the other areas, I think you're right. I think average income, household side are all things that are important. You might want to look at things like market rates for the locations, rental rates. That might help you decide what is going to fit your scenario. It might actually dictate it a little bit on space, so to speak, on what the cost is. Maybe strategic partnerships, something to think about. Maybe there's an avenue where there are chains like a Dunkin' Donuts or something. I'm making this up, obviously, but that there are chains of stores that are tied to your first 2 locations that would be in your others, and you could do some cross-marketing with. Maybe there's even a budget to do that. And draw people in. Pamphlets, something like that would say, hey, if you come here, cross-marketing kind of thing. That maybe that's somewhat of a consideration. And then I guess the other thing is people the workers getting to your shop to do the work. So that's something else to consider. Traffic levels, like consumer traffic, walking traffic, or even driving traffic is something to look at if you can get that data. Real estate groups, if you're looking for a rental spot, will really help give you more of that information too, usually the good ones. So ask them for that. And, signage. What's your signage availability? Are you on a road? Are you, are you near something that can attract people? So I think it's centered around the marketing, and maybe you can track some of your internal metrics to see who are your customers. So hopefully that was helpful. Next question. Again, another one from Mikban Jen Kenji. Question. Should we and how should we continue to pay one of our independent contractors who does not have legal status in the United States? Business description. We have an excellent worker laborer who knows the trade very well and very loyal to our company. He is someone I can trust to run every job on his own and with little to no supervision, and has so much field experience he can instantly solve tough problems. Problem. We've been trying to pay this worker with cash and taking the hit for all of the taxes for the money that we withdraw for him. We reached out to this worker and proposed him paying through check, but he denied. Even tried to incentivize him with a raise, but he denied and responded, "The day you start writing me checks is the day I drop off the company truck and hand in the keys." This worker is an immigrant and very hardworking. It would hurt the company if we lost this person, but also we can't afford to take the hit we are foreseeing on with taxes in the future years. He does not seem to want to even go that route, and I'm sure he's aware of ways to make it work, but I think he's more afraid of his status. How do we convince this worker to pay by check, if any? Do we fire him? Do we keep him and start looking for replacements? Please advise. So, this is also not too uncommon. We have a couple clients in our area in Philadelphia who deal with this. So some of this is tough, catch-22 kind of stuff. What I mean is, our immigration policies are a mess right now. Not to get political, but the whole thing is a mess. And so one of our clients it works in a very immigrant area outside of Philadelphia, and they hire immigrants. And some of them have green cards, some of them have social security numbers, and half, if not more, don't. And the problem is even the ones that are here with a green card, some of them can't get paid W-2 because of a weird scenario in their construct. They might be here on a green card because they're getting some schooling. But because they're here schooling, they can't work and get paid as a W-2. So my client, who's hired them, can't pay them W-2. But they're an amazing worker, and they're working 80 hours a week doing school and work, and they want to hustle, and they want to bring money back to their family, and he has to pay them under the table because they can't get paid. It's illegal because of that status. This is the crazy scenario we live in here nowadays. But so it sounds like this person you're dealing with is truly illegal and is not here on a green card and does not have a social security number. So that is a problem. I mean, it's a problem for you and it's a problem for him. So, I mean, our recommendation would be you cannot hire that worker. If you're going to be straight-laced, it doesn't matter how good he does. At some point, you could get caught. You get caught, you're right. The tax hit could be big. The government will look back and say, how many years has this guy been working for you? They'll do an estimate, and they'll say you owe us X plus penalties. I don't know what it would be because you didn't pay payroll tax for this person. And so that's a very good possibility. So you're definitely at risk. You know, I don't know any other solutions there that are sort of anything you can do except, I mean, one of the things we did, and you said he wouldn't be open to this, but one of the things we did is if he could get a social security number or a certification or something in some fashion, pay him a small amount up to minimum wage in your state, and then maybe pay him by check the rest of it, or cash, and then deduct that all from your taxes, and just send him that information at the end of the year as a 1099. You could do something like that. So I don't know. There's not too many options here. We're kind of limited. So I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. So hopefully that gave you a couple thoughts. So those are all the questions, and I don't see any comments unless I'm reading this wrong. I see a couple good afternoons. Hello, Shelley. Sean told me to stop reading the comments, so stop reading the comments. But great. I think this was really good. I hope everybody got some information from this. And again, if you have anything, go to the platform, throw on some questions there. Happy to answer them. Again, it's delegatesolutions.com, Shelley, is what I was talking about, is that if you came on late, and I can certainly answer that stuff up there on the in the platform. So hope everyone has a good day, and see you at the next one. Bye.